Glad you could join us today on Earthfile. Welcome to the program. I'm Ayola Kasim. Nigeria's elephants live in small relict populations divided between forests in the south and savannas in the north. Experts say the fragmentation of the elephant range is an inevitable consequence of increasing human population, agriculture, and settlement in the country. To many, maintaining a balance between protecting nature and providing for themselves is a big ask. But then, the question is, of what importance is elephant to us? In search of answers, we'll start today's episode of Earthfile with our visit to one of elephant habitats in Ogun State. Do stay with us. Rangers at the Erin camp in an early morning drill. Erin camp, named after the Yoruba word for elephant, is located right at the center of Omo Forestry Reserve, about 135 kilometers northeast of Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Rain and neglect over the years have left the road to Omo Forest treacherous. At the start of the trip the day before, the thought of turning back was more comforting at some point. But what lays ahead lures us into moving forward. Omo Forest, an ecotourism site, is home to more than 200 species of tree, 125 species of birds, and among a number of mammals present are endangered species like chimpanzees, elephants, and the white-throated gunning monkey. Many people became aware of the existence of elephants here just 2 years ago when they crossed a major expressway in Ogun State. Since then, the Nigerian Conservation Foundation's Forest Elephant Initiative, which is tailored towards the protection of the elephant habitat, coordinated by Emmanuel Olabode, has been employing rangers to guard the home of the forest mammal.
Species of special conservation concern generally, so we try to have an idea of it, because in every conservation setting, we can use a particular species to protect others. It can be as an umbrella species or a flagship species. So in Homo, we have other animals that are of conservation concern too, but we are using the elephants to protect them all.
The first task for the rangers today is to set up cameras to monitor the elephants as well as the biodiversity of the forest. One of them is Sunday Abiodun, a former hunter and logger who was employed in 2018. He says he's proud to be a ranger.
If I continued killing them, the animals may not be many in the forest. This was why I stopped hunting, so that my children may know the animals. Then the hunters shooting sometimes scare the elephants. They leave the areas where they hear gunshots, and this is why I arrest hunters. And I am happy that since I started this work, I have peace of mind. I can sleep as I like after coming back from work, unlike before, when I was sleeping during the day when others were leaving for work.
Omo Forest, a 1,325 square kilometers land in Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, is a protected government reserve and in 1977 was named a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. This also makes it a learning area for the promotion of solutions which reconciles the conservation of biodiversity with its sustainable use. But for those doing the conservation work, it is a tough task. Human activities are destroying the forest, making the flora and fauna here disappear faster than they can replenish. Done with setting up the monitoring cameras, the rangers are taking our crew to Baoku camp, where a young man was killed in 2018 by an elephant. Few minutes on the road, Sunday, who leads the group, stopped. He has spotted a footprint. Fresh elephant footprint.
So when elephants are moving in the forest, and they come across jeep track like this kind of road, they often take advantage of it to go a little bit further along that road before they now branch off. The movement is in search of food and water, but sometimes also they always look out for where they can get mineral salts. So it can be like in a rocky area or where we have muds and all that, and it can be sand, as in this case now. So this elephant was actually passing just this morning and came across this sand and feel like you should stop by and have a feel if it contains some minerals. So the importance of mineral salt in elephants is to optimize their metabolism, just like human, the way we need iodine and some other trace elements. So they also want to look out for this trace element to optimize their body metabolism. So from the prints, which is faintly showing here, indicate that it is a juvenile elephant. So it's not a fully grown one, and it just one individual that just crossed this road this morning.
Can you encounter any danger along this path?
The only danger that elephant can encounter along this path is maybe oncoming vehicle and motorbikes. But I think people around here, they are used to that, so they too they are trying to be careful how they speed.
But on our way to Erin Camp the day before, the people of Eseke Camp, which is less than 5 minutes ride from Erin Camp, vehemently denied ever seeing an elephant. Eseke is about 10 minutes ride on a motorbike from this point where we spotted the elephant footprints. I made this observation known to Emmanuel.
It is obvious that a community which is just about less than five minutes walk into where the elephants are cannot claim that they are not seeing the elephants. They live in the forest, elephants are with them, so it is obvious that they are coming in contact with the elephants. And well, it is a big concern because that is why we are here. We are having human elephants conflicts.
The human-elephant conflict is escalated when farming, logging and hunting activities increase. About half of the forest, a 650 square kilometer area, is reserved for wildlife, and here logging is banned. The group found out into the nearby forest looking for more footprints and were not disappointed.
This is it. So actually we can use the size of the footprint to have an idea of the size of the elephants, if it is big one or the small one. Like this one now is more of a medium size elephant, but it's well over 15 years of age. Where we have now is a nature trail established by the elephants themselves. So what determines how they move in the forest are just two different things: the food and water. So what they are looking for is where they can get what to eat and where there's water to do mud bath. And
As we continue the journey, the destruction to the rainforest becomes more evident. Plantain farms here, cocoa farms there, all hidden within the forest. And there are the loggers, some legal, others not. The hunters were also not left out. One of them was not lucky.
Let's move.
And so we moved, crossing one camp to another, most of them not ratified. They are homes of farmers, hunters, and some loggers. There are an estimated 300 farming camps and communities in and around Omo Forest Reserve, each holding somewhere around 100 farmers. We finally reached our destination, Baoku Camp, a former hunter camp in Ijebu-Igbo, also in Ogun State, where a young man was killed by an elephant in 2018. While there is a conflicting narrative of when the community was created, the Bale or paramount leader of the community, Ishola Akula, is hopeful the government will help protect their camp as they are striving to live within the confines of the law. The gun seized earlier belonged to a hunter from Baoku, so I asked the Bale, why are many members of his communities still hunting the forest animals?
We know it's against the law. The last time someone was arrested was around 8 years ago, and he is not from Ijebu-Igbo. Since then, we haven't heard anything like that. Why the guns? It's because the different animals destroy our cocoa.
He was particularly upset by the incident of April 2018 when the young man was killed.
He took a camera and started filming the elephants. While doing this, the elephants kicked him. He killed himself.
The people of Baoku, on their part, have started planting trees they hope can help save the forest. Olusoji Oshintokin is one of the community leaders and a farmer. He's one of those driving the efforts of the people here to protect the forest by planting more trees. But they have their own challenges.
When they told us that as we are killing wood, that any animals will not get any places to live, and they give us order that time, then we beg that anything we government say we should do, we shall do it. And that is why we started planting all these things. I think you see, since many years ago, I've been doing it every yearly.
What type of trees do you plant?
We planted tipos and melina.
Are you planting the trees that are originally from here?
No, formerly we bought from some at Abeokuta, Ministry of Forestry. We bought many there. But after, when they said there's no seed that time, we do buy it from Osun State.
Between 2001 and 2018, Omo lost more than 7% of its tree cover, according to a satellite data from the University of Maryland. In 2019, the university recorded more than 2,000 deforestation alerts, most of which occurred in May and June. This is happening despite Nigeria's Conservation Foundation's efforts. Since April 2018, the NCF has been campaigning for the protection of the forest. By so doing, they are saving the home of the elephants in Omo Forest Reserve. Many have become rich exploiting the forest, and they are not willing to give it all up. Corrupt forestry officials have been blamed for the continued illegal logging going on within Omo. More so, the numbers of rangers patrolling the entire area are not up to 20. They are outnumbered and not adequately equipped for the protection of the forest. Some of the elephants moved to Itasin village in Ijebu East local government area of Ogun State. Some believed the elephants simply moved home. We were told that elephants were in Itasin in the 1940s, but they were never protected, which led to their relocation to Omo. The Itasin forest has been logged repeatedly without management plan, and as a result, less than 30% of the natural forest remains. Meanwhile, a group of conservation-minded nature lovers have formed the West Africa Biodiversity Conservation Trust to create a 3,750 hectares wildlife sanctuary within Itasin forest.
Have you seen this one?
Philip Ventura, the project coordinator of Omo Wildlife Sanctuary of the African Nature Investors Foundation, is also coordinating the Itasin Community Wildlife Sanctuary project. A Belgian who has been in the country for around 4 decades got interested in conservation work after he heard of the 2018 event when elephants crossed the Lagos-Ore-Benin Expressway.
Elephants have, or supposed to have, their own area where they are safe, but people are just going inside the forest, cutting down trees, starting, I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes, Indian hemp. People are doing bad things to this, to this nature all the time. And yeah, the elephants, they feel threatened, they feel bad. I mean, another reason why is it that all of a sudden these elephants from Omo went back to Itasin where they had left more than 60 years ago? Well, there's a lot of mining. There's a quarry on the north of Omo that was so loud. It's a granite quarry. With all the explosions, elephants feel it. And that's also one of the reasons why they started leaving and they went down south.
In the genes of Itasin appears not to have learned from the sad event which happened in Baoko in 2018. They still pursue the elephant with their mobile devices.
Will help the locals that are there and make sure that they can live happily without disturbing. You see, humans can live with wildlife together. They can live like hand in hand, and there won't be any problem.
A herd of hundreds of elephants returned to northeast Nigeria, where it is at risk from Boko Haram jihadists and in conflict with villagers who are trying to sow their crops. The Elephant Protection Initiative says the elephants, thought to number about 250, initially appeared in northeast Nigeria in December 2019, before returning to neighboring Cameroon and Chad a few months later. It was the first sighting of elephants in northeast Nigeria since the Boko Haram insurgency began a decade ago. Elephants once ranged from the tropical swamps and rainforests of the south of Nigeria to the savannah in the north. But a combination of poaching, human-elephant conflict, and deforestation from logging for timber and expanding agriculture have diminished these populations.
I am of the view that in many of the places where human-wildlife conflict has escalated, it is really a result of poor land use planning, people moving into areas where they can hardly grow enough crop for themselves. But in these rangelands, elephants thrive, other wildlife species thrive, and therefore our governments have an important role to ensure that our wildlife is not left without places where they can exist.
The Wildlife Conservation Society is one organization working to protect the savanna elephants in the north. In October 2019, it fitted 6 elephants in Yankari National Park, a large wildlife park located in the south-central part of Bauchi State, in northeastern Nigeria. And this has brought some cheering news over time.
I wouldn't argue there was a decline before WCS took over. Before we took over, we believe an average of 20 elephants were killed annually by poachers based on data and words of mouth. The trend has changed since WCS took over in 2014. The rate of elephant poaching had gone down. Unfortunately, the population was down already before we took over. And for species like elephant, it takes a lot of time to get a population bounce. The good news is we have put satellite collars in 2013. We've put satellite collars on elephants in 2014, and we did an amazing job with a plane to put more satellite collars in 2019. These collars help us to track the elephants in real time, to provide close protection, better management, and it also helps to reduce the tension of crop raiding. Since we are able to see where the elephants are on the computer, it's easy for me to send ranger teams to that location and stop the elephants from going out to destroy crops and wildlife. Yes, the population was low before we took over, but the population is bouncing back.
The African Elephant Action Plan was adopted in 2010 at the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to CITES, and it was developed over 2 years through a consultative process. The plan is fully owned and managed by the African Elephant Range states and outlines the actions that must be taken in order to effectively conserve elephants in Africa across their range. It is not intended to be an exhaustive analysis of the status of elephant populations and their conservation across Africa, but rather a concise and clear statement of those activities which must be implemented and most urgently require funding if Africa's elephants throughout their range are to be protected from the multiple and serious threats they face.
We know there is a small population in Yankari. We know there is another small population in Omo. I think those elephants should be declared as important national assets and given presidential protection. And then Nigeria needs to get serious about cleaning up the ivory market. And more than that, as an important member of the international community, to be a strong voice for Africa as the global community discusses elephant conservation to ensure that, because when you conserve elephants, you conserve everything else, that the priorities of funding organizations become so important to the rest of Africa that elephants can face a common future of sustainability.
A new research shows that forest elephant extinction would exacerbate climate change, so their extinction may be harmful to man. The study by the ecologist Fabio Bezzaghi and his colleagues links feeding by elephants with an increase in the amount of carbon that forests are able to store.
Because in tropical forests there's a lot of competition between plants for light, water, nutrients. Because elephants reduce the amount of plants in the forest, then there's less competition and there's more nutrients, more water, more light for the remaining trees that can grow and store a lot of carbon. That our research has shown that this effect can improve the carbon stored in tropical forests in Africa between 10 and 15%. This is a huge amount considering how large these tropical forests are. And a bit this happens also because in tropical forest you have different many different species, but you have two main type of trees. There's trees that grow really fast but don't store a lot of carbon, and there's trees that grow really slow but they invest a lot in making themselves more resistant to drought. They can survive with less light, and when they grow they become very large and they tend to store a lot of carbon. So this effect of elephants tends to help these kind of slow growing trees that then can transfer a lot of CO2 from the atmosphere and transfer into their trunk.
By promoting these larger woodier trees, elephant feeding disturbances therefore mean the forest stores more carbon. These results have important and far-reaching implications for elephant conservation and carbon policy.
Elephants in general, yes, they can push down some smaller trees, but they cannot do anything to very large trees. Those very large trees remain. So when you have a mature forest with adult large trees, elephants don't really do much to those trees. Even if there's a lot of them, maybe the biggest trees that elephants push down in forests is about 10 centimeters in diameter. It's not that large, but what they do is that they make the understory, so all the smaller plants, they reduce the number of those plants. It's like in forest plantations, right? When you see those plantations where all trees are nicely lined up, there's not many plants in the understory, not many small plants. Why? Because forest managers foresters, they want to maximize wood production. So they don't plant too many trees. They plant the right amount of trees so each tree can grow as much as possible. And this is a similar thing that forest elephants do in tropical forest.
During our trip seen through Omo Forest, we found only elephant footprints and dungs. Emmanuel told me that once upon a time, when the rangers started their work, finding footprints of hunters in the reserve didn't require much searching. We didn't see bullet cartridges, wire snares, or human footprints. Only animal trails. This is a good news.
It's not an hopeless situation. I believe we get there. Every single effort counts. We are on the field. We are trying to do our own best. The government too, they are trying to address this issue, and so other stakeholders too. So if we can have a common understanding and we try to fashion out a definite way to go about it, I think we will have the desired results.
For now, the conservation efforts in the area need a lot of work to achieve the set goals. Compounding the issue is that communities that surround Omo are allegedly refusing to concede ownership of parts of the reserve to the government. There are reports that traditional authorities are also leasing areas to visiting cocoa merchants and loggers from other parts of Nigeria, who comprise more than 90% of the overall farming population in the area. For city businesses, wildlife may not be their first concern, but environmentalists say preserving the jungle and keeping elephants safe may just be what a flood-hit Lagos needs. Forests, we know, are the lungs of the earth. Without them, the heat will be unbearable, while keeping them safe is not just good for the elephants, but for all of us. I'm Ayola Kasim, asking you to join us next week for another episode of the program. Should you have any comments or questions, please email us. sfile@channelstv.com is our address. You may also view this episode or other episodes of the program by visiting channelstv.com or youtube.com/channelsweb. Do click the playlist menu and then click File. From all of us here in Lagos, it's bye for now.